Hi friends, welcome. So I had some requests for some props and modifications from some students that have been having pain or limitations, particularly in the knees, hip replacement, things of that nature. So as we move through our sequences today, I'll give us a second, the third option as we play with different areas of the body so you can really modify and attune this to what your body's asking. But my ask for us is just to start out in a seated shape. So that would either look like you sitting on your heels, or you want to be cross-legged in any type of way. Um, the ask would be that you sit on something that lets you put your hips above your knees so that you can have that natural curve in your lumbar without a lot of effort in the musculature of the low back. Cool. All right, so my name is James Kapika. If we haven't met, YogaJames is my website. Sometimes what people call me, among other things. And I'll have us start out with a little breath work. So if seated is not comfortable, you're of course welcome to be on your back. And I'll have us start with our hands on our belly and guts, because this feels like an important place to drop in, especially for you. So take a big inhale, breathe in through your nose. Open your lips and exhale. Few of those. So big breath in, fill up from the tail to the top of your head. Big exhale. Sigh or moan. Part the lips either way. One more inhale. Fill up the back body and fill up the hands. Exhale. Feel the belly contract into the low back. And bring your hands to your side body if you would. And inhale. Continue to fill up the pelvis and low belly, and then fill up the ribs. Exhale, feel the ribs contract, the belly will draw into the low back, and the pelvic floor will lift. With the breathing diaphragm, it happens on its own. Inhale, soften the perineal muscles, the belly, the ribs expand as you breathe in. You're welcome to pause the breath. And then as you exhale, the ribs will contract and the belly will draw in, the pelvic floor will lift. 2 more of those on your own. And bring your hands on your next inhale up to the collarbones, at the top of the heart space. And inhale, still fill up the pelvis and belly, still fill up the ribs and side body, then fill up the chest and throat. Exhale, breathe from the top down. So feel the pouring of the breath all the way to the pelvic floor. And then same energy, but up the back body. Inhale the tail, low, mid, upper, back, up to the crown of the head. And then exhale down the front body, down the throat, heart, belly, pelvic floor. A few of those. So this 3-part inhale, tail to the crown of the head or even above it, your visualization, and then exhale down the front body all the way to the pelvic floor, even rooted into the earth. So a few more 3-part breaths on your own. Eyes can be open or closed. The idea is we're finding a long and really generous breath that might pause like a pendulum hesitates at the top and at the very bottom of your exhale. You can pause as long as it's interesting, investigative, nothing forced. 2 more. Every inhale, there's a little reach, a tail to head relationship. And on this very last exhale, you'll feel a little pull in of the belly and the bandhas, the diaphragmatic muscles. And then inhale 5 more breaths. Breathe up the back body to the crown of the head. And there's a mantra. So, and then as you exhale, it's a silent mantra. It's hum. Just like the visualization, just like the pranayama inhale. So hum mantra is a way to keep us in our current experience and our inner landscape. do more on your own. If whatever offerings I gave that resonate. If your eyes are closed, you can just crack them open a little bit, start to let light in through the lashes. Slowly let them peel open so it's not too sudden. A lot of stimulation. I'm gonna bring us into our first shape. So there's options that we'll play with tonight. I encourage you to lie your mat perpendicular if that's helpful, so you can see my screen without having to do anything tweaky or extensive on the neck. So one shape's going to be butterfly. Yeah, this is the gentler variation we'll play with tonight. We'll follow a series with this. The second variation would look like you taking child's pose and turning to one side the length of your neck. So child's pose is a great beginner shape to lengthen the front of the ankles, compress the knees fully, and round the low back. However, for people that can't do that compression in their knees, their option would be butterfly pose, which can be done with the heels really close in or further out. It can be separated for a little more external stimulation or lengthened to be more on the back of the thighs. So I have some yoga props, but you really can use anything that could go under the knees in this shape. And it's similar with child's pose. You might find it's a little too much on the feet or a blanket underneath the knees or shins, or a little too much under one or both knees or a blanket between one or both legs. Creates a little less compression in those joints. And then these self-love tools, as I like to call them, they can be used for places where they're not necessary to, but where maybe they just add a little comfort and a little support. So set up your first shape, whether it's that childlike balasana or you're in this Baddha Konasana, and then either way, forward bend, round from your tail all the way to your head. Using supports where they help you feel nourished and give you a little bit more ease in your ability to yield. And come back to that 3-part really generous breath if you've lost it. The nice thing is it's right there waiting for you. So it's this big inhale first down into the deep joints of the ankles and the knees, the pelvis and the lower back. Big exhales, feel the belly empty, feel your muscular skeletal system yielding to gravity. Take several breaths here just to give you an opportunity to arrive more fully in your breath practice and in the architecture of your body. As you continue to fill up the low places in the body, fill up the back, the mid and upper portions between the shoulder blades as you're rounded in this primary curve. Yin's a big proponent of yield, right? Of allowance, of surrender. And at the same time, there's a spectrum and continuum you can play with of a little more press or pushing back into that yield. Whether it's the feet pushing together or into the ground. In child's pose, it could be the shins rooting a little more action or reaching a little more through the arms. It's a little more yang. It might feel more intuitive or effective. However, if your body is asking for less, listen. We'll take another 8 or 10 breaths without counting. To stay curious, to stay explorative in our sensations and in our breath work. Maybe to arrive in an intention for our practice. Besides nurturing our physical shell and our lungs, breath, what would you like to call in or cultivate in your practice? After your next breath in and out of this shape, 3 more. Oh, sounds are welcome. Right? Anytime you need to sigh or moan. So there's another way, like this forward bend, to release and to nurture our parasympathetic nervous system. Your next exhale, use your hands to bring yourself up. If you're in butterfly, and if you're in child's pose, you could press up to tabletop. Either way, we're going to find a more neutral spine and then do something that would feel good, maybe wiggling the vertebrae. Butterflies might want to straighten the legs or windshield wiper them as our tabletops decide to go into cat and cow a little or play with some side bends. Next thing we'll look at is a bit of a lunge, or in the yin practice that's called the dragon series. So this is another example of a series of shapes that can be a bit on the knees. So we'll start out with a shape that's maybe a little bit deeper and a little more assertive for some bodies, which would be low lunge. Not the style where you're modifying a crescent lunge by lowering your knee, the traditional Anjaneyasana where you're letting this knee go way forward so you can get deep into the hips. But of course, this can be a lot for some knee joints, and this back leg's bearing a lot of weight too. So I tend to like to take this shape with some supports. If you have blocks, great. If you don't, it doesn't matter. Anything that can help lift you. Because we're going to start in a forward bend here. So what that'll look like, dragons, will be putting your hands to the ground, taking an inhale, hollowing out the belly and curling your chin and tail around. Few breaths here. If you need more, barely hover the back knee without touching the toes. However, if that's a bit much on the knee, we'll come back onto the back body and bring our right knee into our chest. So from here, you control how much compression is on this front knee. We're not bearing any weight on this back left leg. So it's up to you if you want to be here with the shin. I've brought myself a little strap, which I encourage any kind of belt or scarf. You might want it for any of these recline poses. You'll be here 2 or 3 big breaths into this extended psoas. Another variation would look like half happy babies, a little closer to the lunge. For those of us in the lunge, take one more big exhale, lowering the back knee. And then inhale, bring yourself upright for a moment, hands on blocks. Hands can be on this thigh as you continue to sink the hips and get into that same psoas. Or a little more yang, you can lift the palms, press the hands up, have the arms by the ears. But the more we're willing to sink into the pelvis, the less will be in our low back. More on the front body of our back. Couple more breaths in and out of this shape. For those on our backs, we'll work with splits, which again is a little gentler on the leg. And if you can't grab a hold of the foot or toes, you can grab a hold of the calf, the thigh, or you can take a strap or piece of material and play with reclined splits here. Few breaths in and out of that shape. For those of us that are in dragon pose, bring your hands to the ground. Maybe the back toes touch, your decision. As we bring the hips over the back knee for half splits. Few breaths here, it's your choice. And deeper splits would look like the back knee behind that hip, or working the front leg longer. Any variation you're into, inhale, lengthen the tail to the head, that axis, and then exhale, fold forward. Take maybe 3 to 4 big breaths in and out of that shape. And if you're on your back, with your leg out, go ahead and release the strap bring the knee back into your chest. And either bring both legs in, give them a squeeze, or take a brief shavasana between sides. For those of you in monkey pose or Hanuman, let's bend that front knee on our next inhale, sink into the hips one more time. And then before switching sides, pass through anything you'd like. It could be child's pose, maybe it would be down dog, or lifting that third leg up to the sky and moving it around. Your choice. Counter work's really intuitive and tends to be a little yang, a little active to integrate and counter the deep stimulation of these yin, more passive shapes. And then for my bodies in Shavasana, that are being a little gentler on our knees, let's bring our other leg, our left leg, up. We'll switch sides. So our left knee will come up into our chest now. And you can be here if you want to play with the rounded variation, go for it. And you can bring it right in, or you can bring it path of least resistance a little more external, like dragon shoe. For those of us in child's or down dog, we'll transition through tabletop or simply lunge our left leg forward. And again, we're letting our knee go well past our ankle. If it hurts the knee, it's a no, and maybe you need to be on your back. But this is how we climb up hills, right, and stairs, so it's not contraindicative for most bodies. We'll start with our hands on blocks or on the earth in the forward bend, take an inhale, and then empty the belly as you exhale and curl the whole serpent in around the navel center. A few breaths here to breathe into the psoas. If you need more, press into the back foot and barely hover the back knee. A few breaths, we're still sinking the hip as maybe you internally rotate that extended thigh to the sky. For my back bodies, we'll play with splits, which could look like you moving first into half happy baby. This is a little more of that lunge shape, or a half stirrup. A couple breaths here into the groin and hamstring. And then whenever you feel ready, you can extend the leg, grab the heel, calf, thigh, or take a hold of your foot here. A few breaths, your leg can be as active or passive as you want. Play with that spectrum. The ideal is to do what feels right, not to follow any particular dogma of the correct way to do yin yoga, right? Lungers, when you're ready, inhale, hands up to the thigh, press here and stay, or any variation in your personal expression. Goalpost arms, hands behind the head. You want to bind, you're welcome to do anything in this upper body that says yes. A couple big breaths as you sink that left sit bone to the left heel. And then when you feel ready, take another inhale, hands to the ground, and move to half splits or any expression between hip above knee, or letting the leg go longer or the knee back. Toes tucked is a little more action. It'll make the hips be closer to square. It's not the goal. In reality, you want to let that psoas peel open and back. Inhale, lengthen tail to head. And exhale, Hanumans, come on down for a few breaths. Maybe with the action of the heel rooting and stepping into the gas pedal. Maybe letting the leg relax. Bodies on our back, take another inhale. Bend your left knee, release the strap if you've got it, and bring it into your chest. You're welcome to curl in for a moment. Some necks don't like it, some upper backs love it. And then happy baby might be nice if you're on your back body for a moment. Or happy frog, grabbing the shins and prying them open. Resist as much as it feels useful to press back. Hanuman's, bend your left knee, inhale. And I'll have us pass through down dog if you'd like, or just come to kneeling or seated eventually as you exhale. So our next series will be something that you can do on the wall or the ground. We'll start with the ground variations. The wall ones will be a little gentler on some of our joints, and they keep us from rounding forward, which is a common in yin, is a lot of forward bend. So for anyone with any disc issues, bulging, hemorrhage, any reason to not forward bend, blood pressure, things on the wall can be really nice. Yeah. So the first thing we'll look at is playing with half dragonfly. So we're going to start out on our right leg. I'll be mirroring you. So our right leg's extended and our left leg is in. And the idea here is we're going to play with just a bit of a forward bend. Yeah, so what that looks like is, first of all, I encourage a little exploration. It's not about warming the muscles so much as lubricating the joints before we settle into maybe some props, maybe the hands, elbows, or rounding down. The wall variation that's a bit gentler on that inner knee and keeps the spine from rounding would look like you being here. Some bodies find that the extended leg hip wants to roll to the ground. It's a little twist in our lower back. Some bodies find they want to extend the bent knee. So it's a bit of a interpretation on dragonfly on the wall. Find one that suits you and settle in. Let go of looking at the screen if you tend to. Close the eyes if it's helpful, or at least soften them back into their sockets. And in either variation that your body has chosen, take another 10 or 12 breaths without counting, just to explore where is the breath moving automatically. And I invite the breath into new places in my body. Where is there sensation or stuckness in my tissues or in my breath? And I breathe into that something new, something curious, give it some space to communicate, release. Coming back to that really hard breath as much as it's helpful. Primarily the lower lobe of those three portions. If you're feeling it from the knees to the ribs, right? In the groin, the pelvis, and the lower back. Then from there, these last several, really invite your breath anywhere. If you were cleaning your house, right? Clean some new compartment with your breathing. And something dusty or some cobwebs. Shed a little light. Three more big but unhurried breaths into anything sensational. A place that we haven't heard from and given a phone call to in a while. Doing a forward bend after your next exhale. Your head heavy, use your hands to press and roll yourself up right on an inhale. Counter shapes probably look like you using your hand on the inner or outer knee, either way to help bend that leg. Some bodies like to lift and open up the groin of the psoas. Other bodies are just ready to compress or give their legs a hug before switching sides. So take time, do anything you need. If you're on your back and your right leg's extended up the sky, bend your knee to bring it in, and then likewise use your hand on the inner and outer knee to help you bring that leg in. Right? We're at a place of vulnerability after all that. We want to support ourselves. And then we'll switch sides for you as well. So find your half dragonfly variation. Get the low back lubricated and then support your torso if you'd like as you round. Or if you're on the wall, we'll extend our right leg this time. Whether it stays with a more neutral pelvis or we let our lower back heel as the leg falls to the ground. Maybe extending our right leg to the sky as that happens. As always, when you're on your back, you can support your head with a folded blanket or your neck with a rolled blanket or towel. You want to find like the perfect fit in these shapes. And then let the 10,000 things around us fall away. Right? Whether it's distractions through the computer or the sounds around you, it's so much information. All the juicy, valuable stuff is coming up from the inside. As always, you can play with the yield push relationship. And the reach through the spine, through the arms, if you like some effort. Feel the pull as you exhale down and in the front body. All of these diaphragms. Several more breaths here. Inhaling, breathe into the perineal body, the tailbone, the coccygeal body. Big exhale. So much subtlety to these muscles, to the pelvis, to the belly. Do your best to explore with a lot of breath and curiosity. Do your best to not be overwhelmed with what you can and cannot isolate just yet. Usually when we can't feel something, it's because we haven't asked our body to be or feel it yet. So it's good. 5 or 6 more big breaths into groin, hamstring, lower back. Breathing into the kidney and the adrenals in the low and mid back body. It's the fact that you're on your mat and breathing and sensing into pelvis, into belly, into breath. Is enough. 2 more. Inhaling yourself upright when you feel ready if you're in the forward bend. Whether you're on the wall or seated, you can use a hand to support the extended left leg and come into anything that would feel will counter work, more yang, some kind of wild thing, tripod, maybe some self-love. If you're on your back, you can put your feet up the wall for a moment. Our last shape while we're here is going to look like both legs extended, which is dragonfly. As you may or may not be able to tell, I'm sitting on a self-love tool right now. And so because of that, because it helps me tilt my pelvis forward, I tend to round a little. It can be a bit much in the knees. If you're on the wall, of course, you could take this shape on the wall. If it's a little much on your knees seated, a little tubular blanket, or a couple of them, towels and t-shirts work, does the trick to keep this from hyperextending the back of the knee. You'll know because you'll feel sensation. And then inhale, if you're seated, action in the legs is welcome, more yang, a little more protective, sometimes a little more effective. Inhale, length for that reach, or more passive in the legs and more passive in the upper body. If neither version works for your legs, butterfly again would be welcome. It's still in the groin, supporting under the shins and knees, and butterfly can be taken on your back on the wall. So whether you're choosing a forward bend in your seat or a more neutral spine on the wall, again, find where it feels useful to go heavy. Then the earth element and yield to gravity. That mineral element of our bones, of our teeth, of our finger and toenails, this stone-like heaviness. Then we soothe all of the stones and rocks that make up the landscape of our body and planet with this watery breath into the pelvic bowl. Really the two halves of the pelvis. As we exhale, there's this pouring out, this offering of the breath. Several more in and out here, just continuing to gift our exhales as an act of faith. That is a knowing that there will be breath to come into our lungs on our inhale. It's not a blind faith, it's trust-based. It's been built on previous life experience of all the times from the moment you exited the womb. Now the support of your lungs in our atmosphere. Take 3 more shapes in and out of where you are. You feel ready to round up with an inhale in your own time with your own breath. Please do it. Whether you're seated or on your back, one last time, dragonfly or butterfly, you might want to use your hands to help close the legs. Give yourself one last squeeze or one last active back bend. Maybe you just want to lengthen the legs forward and fold them. If you're on the wall, it could be butterfly, or if you were there already, maybe you want to straighten your legs up the wall for a minute. Make sounds as you need, do little movements, lay on your back for a moment. Right? You do the things in between you need. As you feel ready, we'll look at our next set of shapes. Maybe it's 5 more breaths before you're ready. Perfect. There's no need to jump to order. To give you an idea of where we're heading is going to look like square pose, what it's called in yin. Traditionally, Agni Stambhasana, fire lock. Similar to pigeon or swan pose, this can be a bit on somebody's knees, a little tweaky. If you're on the wall, sorry, please stay. For those of us seated, if this shape isn't your cup of tea, then you may prefer to stack the knees, feet somewhere out or closer to the body. So it's kind of the spectrum between square pose and it's called shoelacing here, Gomukhasana. For those on the wall, you have a similar option that won't have a forward bend. Stack your left knee on top of your right ankle and have this square shape, or stack the knees. However, if that's not enough, you can press away on your right, not knee, that's the tendency, more the right thigh close to the head of the femur in either shape. And if it's still not enough, you move a little away from the wall. Take this figure 4 eye of the needle shape, or shoelace grabbing the feet. This one's the most action. In the last variation I'll put in here would be to use the straps to do this. Again, more action. It's a little safer for joints that are injured to have action. It's a little safer for bodies that are really flexible. And it's a bit more effective in some ways to stimulate the circumferential fascia, not just to isolate. So your choice, wherever you are, will be here for some time. Allowing the shoulders to control wherever the arms end up in space. Allowing our breath to continue to be like water and wash over sensation. Whether you're in the seated version, forward bending here is a nice way to get into the yoni tissues of the outer hips. And for bodies that want to protect the vertebrae that have injury, a long tail to head like the bodies on the walls, a little bit more supportive. Either way, let's take several more breaths in and out. With some spaciousness, letting the hands and eyes go heavy, we'll find a little bit of stillness. Maybe between all the sounds, we'll notice in the background there's always silence. Take 2 more breaths in and out of this shape. And 5 more after that. The reality is there's no place to go but here. Like there's 10,000 places your brain can travel, but there's really only one place you can actually be. The moment and just honor as you breathe your willingness to be on your mat and practice the continued effort and commitment to coming back to your practice moment by moment, your breath, your sensation, and your intention. One more really big breath in and out. Really slowly inhale our body back upright for those of you that are in a seated shape. If you're on the wall, it could be legs up the wall again to nice neutral place. And for those of you seated, you can go anywhere you like before switching shapes. Might be nice to lengthen the legs or windshield wiper, or again, do that reverse cable. My pelvis, I know, and my hip sockets like to release. Sometimes I'll lay on my back for a moment before coming back up to the other side. So if you're on the wall, stay. Find that figure four or either variation of square or shoelace. And for the rest of us, we play with the opposite of the seated variation. Right? So whether you're stacking knees or knees and ankles, find out what's a little stickier, right? Is it a little closer in with the feet? Is it a bit farther out? Maybe you bring the feet past the knees. It's imperative that we're not doing anything that feels sharp or electric, even a little twingy on the knees, especially in this medial part. If that's not happening, then feel free to explore the spectrum of these shapes, and whether you're on the wall or seated, find your breath. Deep in the pelvis and lower back, maybe coming onto the props if you're rounding, maybe just in the forward bend. Welcome to the yawn in the legs, right? They can activate through the toes and the fascia at the soles of the feet, of our diaphragm, right? Pada bandha. Press your shins into the ground. This is much more traditional Gomukhasana, but it's really up to how it feels along the spectrum of yin and yang. Wherever you are, big inhales in these outer hips and maybe the IT band. As you exhale, really empty the lungs and release the jaw and the muscles of eating. Speaking. The upper body, a little more action might look like you pressing away on the top thigh. The knee so much, but moving towards that hip joint. As always, only add these nuances I'm offering if they land or resonate in your body. Exploration is a lovely way to stay present, and sometimes it's a way to stay distracted. So these last several breaths of stillness and heaviness is your yes. Be there. last three in and out of this shape. Enjoy your biggest breaths all day. You can really savor the moment. You go deepest into a shape towards the end over time, right? And you get the most stimulation at the peak. Two more at the valleys of our breath. So maybe you pause at the top and the bottom. And then when you're ready, if you're forward bending using inhale, come back up to neutral curves. And if you're seated, unravel the legs from any type of contortion they're in. You can stay on the wall if you like. We have one last shape applicable to the wall. If you're seated again, maybe it's a moment to straighten the legs and lie back for Shavasana, maybe a windshield wiper, or a more yang-like reverse table pose would be great. I'm going to have us transition into Mandukasana. I prefer the Sanskrit name because when people hear the word frog, sometimes they get a little anxious. So, frog on the wall is great for anyone that doesn't have a lot of external rotation in the head of their feet. So it's not so on the knee. It's also nice just to get some of the weight out of the fascia of the groin. So frog on the wall would look like you on your back with your pelvis the same distance from the wall as your knees. Opening as wide as feels good and keeping the toes in the same direction so the toes don't point out farther than the lines of the femurs. For those of you that like frog or would choose to do frog on the earth, I'm a huge fan of self-love tools with this one. Because for those of us that have been doing the shape for years and not making any progress, part of it might just be that it's a lot on the knees, right? I have a lot of external rotation, so it doesn't bother my knees, but it could be a lot on your groin. So supporting under the pelvis can give this fascia permission to actually yield into this. And then in the same vein, why not support my torso and head as well? You find your variation. You tend to keep the knees in line with the hips, but some bodies feel better with the hips further back or a little further forward. You don't want to lose the target area of the inner thigh. In either shape, we're looking for neutral curves, meaning whether you're on your back or you're in this squat facing the earth, we're looking to have the curvature of our neutral spine, the snake curve. What this means is the fluid of our nervous system and cerebral spinal fluid can move with ease. If you can find that in your breath too, that fluid, easeful movement. Prana has an affinity for water. Our breath has the ability, and pranayama has the ability to direct prana. That's why we breathe into our groin. Because even though the lungs aren't there, we can feel how our breath is complementary to nourishing, nurturing the sensation and the space creating in the inner thighs. It's nurturing the compression happening in the outer hip zone. Wherever you are, invite the breath into those deep places, the bony, earth-like structures of the joint, the water-rich tissues of ursa and ligament, tendon, fascia. We're looking to be in places that are a bit awkward or uncomfortable. So if you're a bit uncomfortable, awesome, doing it right. However, if it's sharp, electric, if it's painful, if it causes you to bite down on your teeth, then back off and maybe try something else. The discomfort is the growth edge, right? It's moving out of our comfort zone, but not all the way to the red zone of danger. And if, like a frog, you want to grow or even transform from a tadpole into a full-grown amphibian that can move around on land, my guess is there's going to be a bit of discomfort in that transformative process. It's definitely been my experience. If your last several into this, really opening shape for the pelvis and really aligning shape for our chakras, for our spine. Take one more breath in and out of the shape. After that one, and if you're on the wall, as always, you can use your hands to help your legs come into your chest or elongate up the ceiling. If you're in the squat variation, go slow, be gentle. You may want to lengthen your belly forward and extend the legs, belly down, or you may want to press yourself back, close the knees, and compress the hips, the groin. Sounds good. Either way, do something that feels really regenerative after some of that stress. We just intentionally put our digits through it. Take sounds or self-massage or movement and breath to integrate some of that. We'll find ourselves eventually coming into a bit of a back bend. So I'm going to offer saddle pose for those of us whose knees can handle this compression and range of motion. Saddle is somewhere between Vajrasana and Virasana, either on the heels or maybe rolling the calves out inside of them. We're going to recline. So if this works for your knees, you may love having some of these support tools. You also may not need them and may be able to come down slowly on the hands, elbows, head, or shoulders. Look in the arms where they feel good. However, if your knees aren't into this, some bodies can do one side and not the other. That's an option. For those of you whose knees don't want to, aren't into this at all, the gentler back bend would look like a supported bridge. So a block can be really nice for this, but a pillow or even a couple pillows or a rolled blanket can work. So saddles come on down. The rest of us will come into Shavasana pose, have a block or some other tool that can support us. And then placing the heels right on the knees will lift up the pelvis and set the block at either the shoebox, toaster, or skyscraper setting. Right, so what feels great in your body? Mine doesn't want to be so high today. So I'll be here, and you choose your own version. And then any variation in the back bend could look like the flying butterfly, could look like supported shavasana, could stand supported bridge, or if you came here and have the knee range, you could be in a supported saddle pose. Whatever you choose, we're in a back bend currently. So we're finding a little bit of this lumbar curvature. Also means we're opening, stretching, or the preferred word for me really is lengthening the front body. The fascial chain of the deep front line, which you maybe like me can feel this in these femoral triangles of the pelvis into the psoas. With big inhales, right into the front body, into the organs and the intestines and digestion and elimination. A place to let go of anxiety and worry. Find more softness, contentedness, and suppleness in our belly. A place to let go of carrying around stress. It's a place to let go of self-criticism, especially of this place. As we breathe into this stomach meridian that runs through the tops of the legs, be a little warm, a little fiery. Keep adding the cool breath to soothe this heat, to nourish the fire of digestion. Heart connecting with contentedness in the belly is a mental shift as well towards an abundance perspective rather than one of scarcity. Let's bring that into our breath. 5 or 6 more really abundant breath. Huge inhales in this ocean of air charged with oxygen that we swim in. So abundant. Haven't run out of air to breathe. No. I don't know about you, but for my soul, it feels really good to reflect on how taking care of you are by our, whatever you call source. When you feel ready, we'll start to transition. The key part there is when you feel ready. If you're in supported bridge, you'll start by bringing the heels back under the knees. I find I like to lift my hips and pelvis, and before touching them down to the ground, after removing the prop, I lift and lower a couple times to bring everything together. And then knees together, feet wide, constructive rest. You can even do this with the upper body hugging yourself to broaden the lower and upper back. You're still in saddle, flexing your bodies might be able to come out one knee at a time into the chest. But for the rest of us, it's a slow move left to right to bring us all the way up without rounding, so not a narrow knee child's pose. You could go wide. If you want to release in the ankles and knees, you're more likely to like down dog. If you're not into that effort, maybe just extend the legs and come rest on your belly. A lot of words for saying do what feels intuitive and kind to your tissue. As always, sounding is welcome and it's an inroad into our body. It can help us get into our sensations and out of our storyteller. We're all going to find our backs eventually. So if you came through child's pose or down dog, you'll transition to join the rest of us that went from supported bridge into corpse pose. We'll finish doing a little bit of love here for our lower spine, starting on our right leg, right knee, and the chest. We'll do a little love for the foot and the ankle, so some pointing, flexing. Maybe you play with in between, right? Point, yogi toes, point, ballet toes, and full flex. We'll do some circles around the clock, one direction and then the other. And then do this with your hip socket too, maybe. So there's some big circular movements. Do the head of that right femur one direction and then the other. And then let's extend our right ankle to cross over the left. We're going to keep our pelvis stable, and we'll just move our feet up and over to the left. We're going to bring our arms up by our ears, and we'll move our shoulders. We might need to scooch a little. That's the official yoga term for this move is scooching. Over to your left, so you create this banana-like half moon shape through your whole right side body. If you don't like the right ankle on top, maybe you prefer the left, maybe you don't want to do either. Settling in, you can look under that right armpit if your neck's into it. Otherwise, do anything else that feels good for the cervical spine. Action here could look like you pressing your left hip a little, or really more yielding the left pelvic half into the earth. You might choose to take the left hand to the right arm and pull a little through that whole right side body. If that doesn't feel good, you can always just take a hold of elbows or have the hands down on the belly or the waist. Wherever you settle, take some generous inhales into this whole left side, into the IT line, into the obliques, into the intercostals, into the lats, into the armpits. We want to nurture the side body. Sometimes we go through a whole yoga asana practice and we really don't spend much time in this side body. With that being said, let's choose to really show up moment to moment in this shape. What does it have to teach us about how we carry our body, our emotions, our thoughts? Where is there stuckness? Where is there excess? Where is there lack? The great thing is these practices, this breath work in particular, can help create equilibrium in any of these cases. So we breathe big inhales into stuckness, into tightness, into lack, depression. We breathe big exhales out of tightness, hardness, anger, anxiousness, excess. 2 or 3 more big breaths. Welcome to sigh, welcome to lion's breath. Come back to a more neutral spine. When you're ready on an inhale, elongating the legs and the arms. Bring that right knee in one more time. Give it a squeeze. Maybe this time forehead to knee. Bring the knee closer to the ground outside the ribs. One or both is an option. And then spiraling that right knee across the body. And again, this is a really nice place for a self-love tool if your knee doesn't come to the ground. The idea is our shoulders are on the ground. Maybe you scooch. There it is again. To get that right shoulder down. And if that doesn't work, another place, if your arm's up here, you can hang out here. If you don't love it, supporting under the scapula. Again, we're adjusting the extremities of our arms and legs to find places that may affect our center points, right? The pelvis, the shoulders, and the central channel of our vertebrae. If you want to bring this through the vertebrae, you would turn to your right. But if your neck's not into it, why bother? Some of us don't need these extra self-love tools. Not because we're better at yoga, but because maybe we practice longer, or maybe we were born in a skeleton that lets us go into shapes that appear deeper. Wherever the architecture of your body is set up, find what deep means to you. And for me, depth isn't about how it looks, but how deep is your breath? How deep are the sensations that are useful, like achy or sore? Nothing sharp, nothing that keeps us from yielding. Few more big inhales into this upper right side and back body. Exhales, continue to feel how the pelvic floor and belly yield in. After your next breath, in and out of this shape completely. You can either inhale or exhale, a little more core engagement that way, back to center, right knee into your chest. Now you can bring both knees in, or if you want to get out of that compression on the right side, extend that leg to join the left. Few breaths here, either in Shavasana or in this reclined happy baby, this Apanasana pose. I'm going to switch sides with my body. So as you bring your left knee into your chest, it may be easier to see, if you even need. If not, close the eyes maybe as you bring the knee into the chest. Forehead to knee is always an option for a second, and then point, flex, my ankle pop, and then point. Point, flex, point, right? Or do some circles through the ankles. A joints pop, it's something they do, one direction and the other. It doesn't necessarily have anything to do with getting arthritis. In reality, it's releasing gas and lubricating. Let's do that. Let's do it in the femur socket, right? Let's lubricate the hip one direction and then the other. Well, you don't need to force anything to pop or crack or snap. Right? But anytime it does, feels good, great. We'll play with banana shape here, extending our left leg across our right ankle. Again, if you didn't like that, just keep them next to each other. And then, keeping the pelvis relatively heavy, especially on that left side, we'll move our feet over to the right. We'll move our shoulders and arms over to the right. So again, we're looking for this crescent moon, this banana shape in our left side body. Looking under the armpit or wherever the neck wants to head, placing the arms. They feel really yummy in the shoulders. And they're getting a good bit of stimulation, good bit of breath. But amidst the effort, right as Patanjali said, find the ease. Stay steady in this shape. In your breath and sensations and how they bring you to this present moment. Find the sweetness. A few more in and out of this whole left side body, this whole gallbladder meridian line that runs through the whole sideline. About flow and fluid, the gallbladder and liver repair. They're about managing, schedule, moving through life with fluidity. If they're stuck, if there's inflammation or irritation, annoyance, right, aggravation, so they're looking to create fluidity, ease, and a few more breaths, a willingness to go with the flow. If you think of the palm trees that are so sturdy, it's so malleable that the hurricane can move them around. They're so humble, they bend and kiss the ground, and when the storm leaves and everything's done. That'd be the last thing saying. We'll move back to a long body when you're ready, lengthening the legs and the arms. Bringing one more time that left knee into the chest, right? Because we did a lot to lengthen, now we want to shorten, we want to compress. Across the body again, if you found that self-love tool was helpful, bring the knee towards a pillow or bolster. Across the body, maybe you put something soft under the left shoulder if it can't be heavy. Anytime you feel this in the elbow crease, right, just like the knee, you want to bend the digit a little so it's not hyperextended, whether that's bow pose, hand behind the head. You create your unique shape. Find how much yin to yang is effective and where, and then breathe into that whole back left side. We're nourishing out of the front body, out of the willingness to empty. Create space for something new in your next video. These last few breaths, you've been cultivating so much lung capacity for the past hour and a half. Really use that to fill the whole vessel. If you've got any extra heat or tension or stress, you want to sigh out. These last couple breaths, maybe now is the time. Sighing and moaning are great ways to calm the nervous system. So Vaseline like that, flutter your lip. Mostly breathing through the nose is a great way to keep ourselves calm, but anytime your body's asking for something else, do it. And when you feel ready to inhale or exhale, your left knee back into your chest, please do so and give it a squeeze. Knee to ribs, maybe knee to armpits. Another opportunity to curl the head in, bring both legs in, and if you're over all that compression, lengthen the legs. Where we're going eventually anyway. So Shavasana, our corpse pose, will be our resting. If you prefer to move back to the wall, to take legs up the wall, please do. We played with self-love tools a lot today, so I'll keep that going. If you're on the wall, you might like a little something under your sacrum to elevate you. It'll keep a little lumbar curve. And it puts the hips above the heart, so it's more of an inversion. Some bodies that have low back pain feel great supported under the knees. For anyone that tends to jet their chin up really high and you can't necessarily see yourselves, but You can elongate the back of the neck. A blanket is a great way to get rid of that. And if you're doing that all the time, maybe like when you drive or use a computer, that's common, you may want to roll a blanket and put it under the curve of the cervical spine. This is my favorite for Shavasana, for anything like that. And then whether you put legs up the wall or chose to find corpse pose, let your feet fall open hips width or wider. And let everything in the muscular skeletal system, fascial connective system of the lower half release. Arms up a little bit out from the waist and below the shoulders. Let the arms reach long through the middle fingers and then let the hands and arms go heavy. Relax everything in the pelvis, pelvic floor, your gonads. Relax all the muscles of digestion, all the organs of the belly. Relax the lungs. So notice if you're still in your breathing and take one more big inhale. Part your lips and let that go too. Rest. With your eyes closed and your body still, a few more moments to just be in this place, resting, yielding to this mother, this earth, this constant support. Before moving, can you feel into the heaviness, the bony structures? Can you feel into that embodiment of the earth element? And then maybe in the stillness of the shape, you can feel the water. And in the stillness of your arms and hands, like rivers pouring down, you can feel the prana, this energetic body of quality. And there's this ebb and flow like the ocean. The rhythm of your lungs right now is the universe breathes you. It's an abundant, nourishing, oxygen-rich environment anytime you want to. Choose to deepen and create a bigger wave in that ocean. Take a big inhale, flood the whole system with life. Then let it all go, parting the lips, sigh, moan as you exhale. Breathe into the fire of your solar plexus, fire of digestion. Breathe into the fire of the pancreas. We'll integrate from the solar plexus and from our navel out to the fingertips as you start to wiggle the toes and fingers open and close. Your extremity will work from these distal ends into the wrist and circle, or you can point and flex your feet. You can open and close through the ankles and hands, or you can even start to straighten and bend the elbows. Maybe you want to move into the shoulders and pelvis and lengthen the arms out and straighten the legs long. Inhale, stretch, as they say. Or exhale, pull the elbows and knees in on your back and curl in and press. You're welcome to roll around on the sacrum a little, or roll to one side and cradle the head and the body. Or if it feels more intuitive and fluid, to roll tail the head a few times before coming to seated. Take your time to come back upright for a moment. When you do, find one of those self-love tools if you're crossing your legs. Otherwise, maybe sit on your heel. We're going to sit still for maybe 1 minute. Really, you can sit still for as long as you'd like, but I'll set us up to just have a brief moment to be upright now in rest and relaxation and feel roughly. So palms up or down, it's really up to the shoulders, but we want them back and down so they're spacious, so that there's some heaviness. It can be in the lap or on the thigh. Find that reach of the tail to the head, not so much effortful, but more like something's drawing you tall. And then let your eyes settle on the floor in front of you. Or if your mind wanders less, close them down. And settle your eyes on the third eye about an inch in from the skin. Tip of the tongue is on the hard palate behind the front teeth, just like an asana, your Jiva Bandha. Lips are closed, but gently you're relaxing the muscles of the tongue, the jaw, and the lip. Whether the eyes are open or closed, they're soft, they're unfocused. There's a smoothness across our brow. Doing our best to witness our breath now rather than influence it. Maybe subtly you can feel it moving up the back body as you inhale. So is the mantra. Pouring down the front body. As you exhale is the mantra. It's helpful. We'll be here for 1 minute. If there's no pain, choose to be still. You find yourself wanting to scratch your nose or thinking about your life, come back to witnessing the breath, this visualization, or this mantra. Slowly bringing your hands to your heart center. Prayer. Slight bow of your head. For a moment to turn in and recognize your effort, your practice. Thank yourself, to thank your teachers, to thank your lineages, your ancestors. Just to notice how you feel different than when you started this practice. You'll notice the affect, the purpose, both in the moment and in the resonance. Let's resonate together now. Take a big breath in, belly, ribs, chest. Sigh. Get any dust out of the lungs. We're going to home. Inhale. Namaste. As always, thank you so much for practicing. I appreciate you being here. Today's a special day. My puppy showed up as always at the end of class. It's his birthday. Stitch turned 5 today. So please like the video or share, comment, send me a question through Facebook or email. My website is YogaJames.com. I appreciate any thoughts you have, any donations you're capable of. I have a Venmo and PayPal account set up to this donation-based class. And I'm working on a yin Thai massage video series that's coming out soon. Me and my sweetheart are putting together. So look for that soon. Otherwise, I will be here next Sunday. And I wish you all healthy bodies and peaceful minds amidst the crazy world we live in. I love you very much. Thanks for being here. Ciao. I'm gonna unmute. Hey, Laura.